This is Raindrops, a short story written by myself. Tap, tap, tap. The pattern of the rain echoed deep within Logan's ears. Tap, tap, tap. He always found the soft gray of the sky to be comforting with the way it settled over the land, like a soft, endless blanket. Tap, tap, tap. A clear stream trickled from the gutter, dripping softly onto the concrete below. Tap, tap, tap. Logan sighed, shifting his weight to lean against the handrails of his porch and taking in the earthy scent of the morning drizzle. Spring was nearing, and with it came the routine of rainstorms, each one popping in for a few hours before vanishing, only to be replaced by the warmth of the sun. Logan could sense the young buds under the soft soil of the earth, just wanting to sprout and greet the new day. Of course, the sprouts could not actually greet anything, as they weren't sentient, but that was something he could ignore for the moment. He lifted his thermos to his lips, the sweet flavor of Earl Grey tea filling his taste buds. The warmth from the beverage pooled in his core, and he allowed himself to gaze back past his porch, content with the continuous beating of the rain against pavement. Droplets slipped from the sky just a beat quicker now, and Logan sensed a downpour. How he loved those. He reached out from under the cover of the deck and smiled as the cool drops patterned against his skin. Each splashed upon impact, filling the air with hundreds of crystal-like droplets. It wasn't long before he became transfixed with the landing of each drop, counting the steady tempo between each strike. He hadn't even heard the screen door swing open. "What are you doing out here in the rain? You're going to catch a cold, Lo." Logan rolled his eyes, but couldn't stop the smile that crept onto his face. "You know very well that is just a myth, dear." "So you've caught me." Roman smiled and wrapped his arms around Logan's shoulders from behind. "Maybe I was just jealous." "Of the rain? I hate to eliminate your suspicions, but as breathtaking as this precipitation is, it could never come close to your beauty." The tips of Roman's ears reddened, and seriously, how could Logan not fall apart at such a delightful sight? "You're such a salve," Roman groaned, covering his face in a desperate attempt to hide the blush. "That, and, according to your observations, a pluviophile." "A what?" "Pluviophile. A lover of rain, or someone who finds peace and joy within the course of rainy days." Several droplets pitter-pattered atop the porch then, almost signifying Logan's statement. Roman chuckled, and reached up to pluck the glasses from the professor's face. "You and your fancy words." He gently dried the lenses with his t-shirt, then slid them back onto Logan's nose with a grin. "I figure with all the creativity you bring into my life, I might as well offer some dashing tidbits myself." "Is that so?" Roman hummed, looking out into the yard. "What would you say if I offered another sliver of creativity?" "I am intrigued." "Follow me." Roman grasped Logan's hand, lacing their fingers together. With bouncing steps, he led them past the redwood tree and into the open grass of the yard. Small puddles littered the ground, plinking softly as the sprinkling rain landed atop their glass-like surfaces. "Don't tell me we're going to." "Oh, come on," Roman grinned, bouncing on his heels. "Just give it a try. For me?" Roman looked at Logan with those puppy dog eyes he knew the latter couldn't resist, and the professor gave in all too easily. He rolled his eyes. "You are incorrigible, dear." Roman smiled wide, his eyes shining. "Is that a yes?" "Why not?" Logan sighed, though nothing could conceal his smile as Roman's face lit up. Breathtaking was the word Logan found to describe it. There was a sparkle to Roman's eyes, shimmering with a deeper intensity as he grew more excited. That was one of the best parts about his boyfriend, Logan decided. He was always beaming, spreading a sort of sparkle wherever he went. Roman took his other hand, guiding them through the maze of puddles as droplets sent ripples across their surfaces. Logan was very glad to have put on rain boots beforehand, knowing full well that his socks would probably get soaked regardless. His pair was a dark blue color, plain and simple, while Roman's were a bright red with white and gold polka dots. "You ready?" Roman asked, having reached the largest puddle of them all. Logan smiled. "Always." And with that, he was being pulled into the water. For a moment, they remained in the air, the wind rushing past their faces and giggles filling the air. As gravity took its course, they landed in the puddle and were met with a cool spray of water. It felt magical. Up in the air they went, leaping from puddle to puddle until hundreds of droplets dripped from their boots, sparkling as they slid into the grass. Logan laughed all the while, only pausing when he noticed Roman had stopped. He raised a brow, only slightly worried. "What is it? Have I done something wrong?" Roman broke from his daze. "Oh, of course not, darling. You've done nothing wrong. You're just..." "I'm just... what?" Roman's eyes softened, and he moved to cup Logan's cheek. "You're just so pretty when you smile like that." "Oh." A visible blush crept across Logan's face, his eyes growing wide. "Thank you." "You are very welcome." Roman's expression shifted into a smirk. "Now, it's time for a new game." "And what game would this be?" Roman's eyes lit up, and he momentarily released Logan's hands to throw his arms to the sides in one dramatic gesture. Leave it to his boyfriend to make everything a theatrical experience. "We shall have a race," he declared, grinning widely. "First to make it around the redwood tree and back wins, and said winner gets to choose a dare for the other." "I see." Logan sighed, pushing up his glasses. "Very well. Let us compete." The two stood parallel at the end of the driveway and took their stances. The patterning of rain against concrete served as the perfect background, like a tiny crowd cheering them on with each step. Logan met Roman's eyes as they readied to sprint, the corners of his lips turning up into a bright smile. Roman winked, moving his gaze straight ahead and counting down. "On 3. 1, 2, 3. They were off, speeding through the front yard just as the rain careened through the air, each dashing with a sort of frantic grace, though grace was putting it lightly, especially as Roman slipped on a new patch of mud, nearly toppling to the ground before he regained his balance. Logan was in the lead, having had the advantage of longer legs. That didn't stop Roman, however, who easily gained the distance he had lost just moments ago. Before Logan could even realize it, Roman sped past, crossing the finish line with a victorious cheer. "And that marks a win for me," he exclaimed, flashing a bright smile that even the sun could not match. "I would have had you beat. It was just a matter of losing focus." "You're just jealous that I get to give you a dare now." Logan rolled his eyes. "And just what would this dare be?" Roman stepped closer, a deviously crafty smile crossing his features. "I dare you," he drawled, leaning forward until their faces were inches apart, "to kiss me." Logan's breath caught in his throat, the ability to form words so easily stolen from his lips. He locked eyes with Roman, a request so seemingly simple, still managing to make his heart race. His eyes widened, and even the raindrops dotting his cheeks weren't enough to cool the hot blush now gracing his face. The challenge hung in the air like fog, the sprinkling of raindrops serving as the only sounds to fill this void Logan had plunged into. Roman gazed into his eyes, a question of whether he was comfortable in accepting such a dare. Both knew the answer before Logan even had to utter a word. Their lips met, gentle and sweet, just like the dew speckling the newly budding flowers. Even with the bundling of coats and boots, a new warmth bloomed in Logan's core, inviting him to hold his boyfriend even closer. Droplets fell faster from the sky as thunder rolled in the distance. At the moment, Logan didn't care that his clothing was getting soaked, nor the mud that covered his boots. The only thing crossing his mind was Roman, whose arms were wrapped around his shoulders. Roman, who giggled as Logan rested a hand on his cheek. Roman, who even in the pouring rain still managed to kiss him senseless. A crack of thunder caused them to part, though nothing could hinder the giddy smiles plastered on both their faces. Roman brushed a final kiss to Logan's temple, and the professor laughed, bright as the sun peeking through the clouds. The two were absolutely soaked. Droplets flecked Roman's hair, sparkling like 1,000 little diamonds, and Logan would be lying if he said he didn't find it to be the prettiest thing in the world. He was certain a familiar dusting covered his own hair, similar to the raindrops that covered his glasses like polka dots. God, you're so handsome, Roman sighed, brushing the stray drops from Logan's face. Not that it would matter. The current storm showed no signs of stopping any time soon. That and cold, Logan responded with a smirk. With the bitter winds blowing through the yard, his ears had grown a brilliant shade of pink, and he wrapped his arms tight around himself. Roman only smiled, wrapping an arm around his boyfriend. I think I may have the perfect solution. The fire crackled brightly upon the hearth, and warmth pooled into Logan's veins. He sat curled on the end of the couch, awaiting Roman's return from the kitchen. As he settled, the sweet smell of apples filled the room, and Logan turned to observe steam billowing from twin mugs, piping hot from the microwave. Roman had even gone as far to sprinkle cinnamon atop the servings of cider, knowing full well Logan loved the spiced addition. He patted across the floor, carefully handing Logan his mug, then coming to snuggle at his side. The two had long since changed out of their soaked garments, opting instead for wool socks and thick blankets. Logan had even managed to snag Roman's sweater, the woven material carrying the scent of citrus and pine. He sighed with the first sip of cider, the liquid sweet and warm in its cup. As he did so, Roman beamed, coming to gently kiss Logan's cheek. Warmth bloomed in the professor's chest, and he nuzzled into Roman's neck, a desperate attempt to hide his blushing. I love you, Logan muttered, taking note of the way Roman's eyes widened before his expression settled into a soft smile. I love you too, he said in return, and nothing could erase the pretty expression that adorned Roman's face, his eyes sparkling with nothing short of admiration. They cuddled close, listening to the crackling of the fire and delighting in the warmth of cider and blankets, all while the rain continued to tap, tap, tap against the window pane. This has been Raindrops. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time for another story.